You guys, before I start the video, I would like to just put a little disclaimer in this. If you are not a trained professional to work on gas appliances, do not attempt anything that you see in this video. I'll be working on a gas furnace. I'll be working on gas. So do not attempt any of this unless you are familiar or have certification or have the tools to work on gas equipment. Pretty cool. And we're going to roll right over here to the furnace. And here is our Carrier Performance Series furnace. We are going to perform preventative maintenance on it today. So this is more of for the beginners. We're going to show how we go through and service the furnace, things to check, things to look for, and things to test. So let's some component identification. This is our two-stage gas valve, low, high. These three metal tubes here, those are our burners. This right here is our flame sensor or flame rod, and these two wires, you can't really see it from here. Oh, we can see it from this side. That is our igniter. All right, and this device right here is only on propane or LP appliances. This is a low gas pressure switch. So if the gas pressure gets below, the inlet gas pressure gets below a certain pressure, this switch will open and it will send a signal back to the board saying I don't have any gas or I don't have enough gas. These are our pressure switches right here. There's two of them. And this is our draft inducer. So when the draft inducer starts, it will create a pressure, and then that will satisfy these switches, which also sends a signal back to the board. So behind this draft inducer is our heat exchanger. Moving over here, this is our control board. This can technically be a Carrier Infinity product also. So this is kind of a more fancy control board. What you'll see in a lot of other furnaces is an integrated control board where everything goes actually right through that control board. The igniter, which this does too. So technically this is an integrated control board, but it's also has the Carrier Infinity features on it also. So the integrated control board, everything goes through that. Like I said, the call for your gas valve, your igniter, your draft inducer, everything goes through this board here. And then behind the board there is our blower motor. And then this one actually has a media style filter cabinet. So we have a 4-inch filter behind here. All right, and that is our basic component. Also we have some high limit switches here. This one right here would be a rollout switch because it has a resettable circuit breaker on it. There's another one down here. And I believe this one, yes, this one has another high limit right here. So 3 high limits. Sometimes you'll have one on the draft inducer that will, if the flue gas gets too high, there's where it could be. If the flue gas temperature gets too high, it will shut itself down on an error. And then here is our trap for our furnace. All right, now that we have identified most of the components, we'll go ahead and start the service. Let's go ahead and turn it off. All right, we want to make sure we turn the gas off before we do anything. All right, the first thing we're going to do is I am going to remove this screw right here. this is our flame rod. So we're going to pull that out very carefully and inspect it. Let's see if we can get that. Sometimes this will get charred and burned. So we just want to clean that up. Some guys are really particular about not using sandpaper on it. You can use a dollar bill or something like that. I usually just rub it in between my fingers and get any charring off there. If it's really bad, I will use some light sandpaper, but you can see it's actually coming right off on my fingers. Make sure we get any buildup off there. And then we can put that right back. All right, next we want to test the ohm value of our igniter. Now we've unplugged this from right here, and we want to test those two pins right there with an ohm meter and see what we get. All right, so we got, looks like 46 ohms. 46 ohms right there. You see that? So that's a good igniter. The higher that gets, the worse it's going to be. So we want to make sure, and if it's open altogether, that means the heat exchanger is broken. But we have 46 ohms, so that is a good igniter there. So we're going to plug that right back in. Now, while we're inspecting this, we want to look where the burners go into those tubes in the back there, and it's very hard to see just like this. It would be very helpful if we had an inspection camera, but we don't have one. So what we're going to want to do is we want to take this fuel bar off. So we're going to take these 4 screws out, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to unplug these plugs here so we can get that fuel bar off and the burners off, so we can look and see if we have anything going on inside there. All right, I've got our screws out, and you can see we have this this flexible gas piping here, so we can kind of move this off to the side and manipulate it some so we can get it out of our way. Sometimes in most circumstances you might have to remove the gas piping, but I think I can get this one out of the way so we can get that over and take that off. All right, we took our 2 screws out up here, and then there's 2 screws down bottom we took out. And it's pretty loose there. Now our rollout switch wires are still connected, so we're going to pull those off real quick. All right, now we have our burner completely taken out. You see here. Now those burners will slide right out. We just want to be very careful because our igniter's right there, and that is very fragile. It will break. So we're going to set this down. We're going to pull these burners right out. All right, so we have our burner right out right here. We can inspect the ends to make sure there's no rust there. These will sometimes rust up, and they'll need to be cleaned or replaced. These ones look okay, especially with LP gas. They seem to rust faster, but those ones look good. And we're just going to inspect this here for any cracks or anything, and all that looks good. So we're going to set this to the side also. Like I said, being very careful not to damage our igniter. Okay, now look, we can look right into the heat exchanger now and see for any cracks or anything like that. We can peer right in there. You see that? It helps, like I said, with an inspection camera, like a sea snake. But we're looking for any cracks or anything like that. This tube looks good from my vantage point. Let's look at this one now. This one also looks pretty good. And then finally the bottom one. It looks pretty good. We've inspected the heat exchanger. That looks good. We're gonna go ahead and put the burners and all back on and hook everything back up. All right, so the next thing we want to do is clean this trap here. So we got to take the tubing and all off of it. All right, we got that off, and there's one screw that holds it on, but that screw is very, very fragile. So we want to make sure we don't strip that out. All right, now that we got that screw out, this will just kind of pop right off. And we'll take this tube off also. All right, and here is our trap. Now you can see this one's pretty clean. It's got a little bit of buildup down there, but we're just gonna take and just rinse water through that and get it cleaned up. We'll try to get some of that black crap off there. Not sure if we'll be able to get it out. Yeah, I put some cleaner and rinsed it out, but that black stuff remains. So it's not clogged up, it's just a little bit of stuff stuck in the bottom there. So we're gonna go ahead and put this back. All right, there we go. Got that back on there. Maybe I can get that clamp on there a little better than that, but when they originally did this, they made it just a skosh too short, so it's having a hard time fitting in there, but it's okay. All right, let's move on. All right, now we just want to check the blower wheel to see if there's any excessive buildup. Doesn't look like, this one looks pretty clean. A little tiny bit of dust, but nothing that warrants us having to pull that out there and clean it. And while it's off, we'll go ahead and change the filter also. All right, we've got the equipment back on now, but what I've done is I've removed the R wire here. And what that does is it takes the thermostat completely out of the equation, because there's a couple things I want to do here without it trying to bring on the air conditioner or the fan and stuff like that. So down here, I have my manometer hooked up to this tube right here, and that tube usually goes to the pressure switches here. But I want to check what my static pressure is coming off of my inducer. So I've got that hooked directly up there, and we're about to give it a W call, and we want to see how much static pressure this draft inducer is making. So we're going to go over here, we're going to jump between W and R. You see, this is first stage here, so we're putting out 1.93 inches of water column. 1.94. All right. Now, this will not fire because I still have the gas off. All right. Now we're going to set up to take our gas pressure. So there is this screw here, which is our incoming gas pressure, and then this screw right here is our outlet gas pressure. So we're going to hook up these nifty little tubes that come with my manometer. So we're going to hook those up there, and then we're going to put these tubes on the end, one here, and then one here, and then we're going to hook them right up to the manometer. We're going to hang that right up there so we can see it. All right, and we got our gas turned back on, and you can see our incoming gas pressure with the appliance off is 11.28. Now we're about to fire this appliance up and see what our gas pressure is. In low fire first, and then we'll try high fire. Now we've put this panel back on to prevent any poisonous gas transferring from here to the blower section. Gonna fire up here in 1 second. You can see our igniter on, and we fire. Alright, and you can see in low fire we're at 7.5. not stopped right there. It's moving through. Start, that would drop our gas pressure down even further. So it seems we don't have a whole lot of gas pressure here to work with. All right, this is our main gas regulator. This is our main gas coming in from our tank. So we took this little cap off here just like this, and this is an adjustment screw in here, this white plastic. So if we turn that in, that will increase our gas pressure. Now we don't want to go too crazy with it, but we do want a little more than 11.5 coming in. So we're going to turn that in just a little bit. And now we'll go see what our incoming gas pressure is. All right, we've got it up to about 12.4. I think I might raise that to right around 13. All right, we're just about 13 here. So now we're gonna fire it again and see what we got. All right, low fire is still 7.5. Let's step it up to high fire. And that's a little better. We're up to 10 now. And we do want to follow this up with for one, combustion analysis, which we'll take from right here. And then we will also get a heat rise to make sure we're still within what our data plate says, what our heat rise is. Okay, so it's saying here in high fire, we're allowed between 40 and 70 degrees. Low fire is 30 to 60. All right, in second stage, looks like we have like a 43-degree split. So 116 supply, 73 return gives us about a 43-degree split. It is still coming up a little bit, but it's been running for about, I don't know, 10 minutes or so now. So I think we're probably good. We're within the, well, we're way on the lower side of the heat rise, allowable heat rise. So we're good here. All right, one of the last things we're doing here is we're doing a combustion analysis. So you see we're running at 94% efficient, 65 parts per million on our CO, and looking pretty good. We're also going to take an amp draw of the unit. Let's see here. So we're pulling about 3 amps. Most of that being our blower motor. But we will take a amp draw of our draft inducer too. So draft inducer is pulling 0.38, so I guess we're pulling about 2.5 amps on the blower. You can see our CO is going down because I was getting a lot of startup gas there. So we'll just watch it for a few minutes and make sure it goes down a little more, because that is a little high. You'd like to see that underneath 50. All right, and we're just going to go through and make sure everything's good and tight also. Just take your screwdriver and make sure everything here is tight, nothing's loose. Make sure we got everything hooked back up that we disconnected. Got our plugs back in. All of our plugs are back tight for our gas and our test port for our flue gas. Everything looks good. So we're gonna go ahead and button this one up. All right guys, just a quick little kind of introduction to a 90+ gas furnace for beginners. A little step-by-step guide of how I work through a heating maintenance on a gas furnace. And like I said in the beginning of the video, unless you have the tools and the training to work on gas appliances, do not work on them. So that's gonna be it for this one, guys. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.